Hi, this is Colleen Smith, Devon Live. I'm on the old pier, the old Holden Pier at Torquay, looking across at Princess Pier, where there's a huge fire raging on an 85-foot luxury yacht. It's going to turn around now so you can see. It is on the other side, so I'm not sure how much you can see from here, but you can see the smoke going up. So basically, this is an 85-foot luxury super yacht, I think one of the biggest ones on the marina. I'm on the old stone Holden Pier, and if you look across, you can see this, the flames still. I'm going to try and zoom in. This boat has been on fire now for at least half an hour, I'm told. There have been explosions. This smoke can be seen as far away as Newton Abbot, people are telling us. Fire brigades, first of all, when the yacht was alongside the pontoons, took trolleys and pumps to the end of the pontoon, but they couldn't reach. As the fire burnt through the ropes, the yacht drifted over onto the pier, and firemen are now fighting the fire on the end of Princess Pier. You can see across, here I am, that's where the wheel is on the seafront, just so you know where we are. I'm walking to the end of Holden Pier now to try and get a view across. There are people who were on the end of the stone bit of the old bit of Princess Pier who've been taken off now. I don't know if you can see, I'm trying to focus across. There are firemen on the ends of the pontoons, but they couldn't quite reach because the boat drifted away and drifted into the pier. Now the end of the pier is also on fire. The people who were trapped on the end, this end, where I don't know if you can see this end of the pier, which is stone, are now all being taken off in these boats. They've all been rescued safely. They weren't in any danger because this end of the pier is stone. It wasn't going to catch fire. But I'm walking as close as I can now, looking across at Princess Pier. So for people who've just joined us, there's been a huge fire raging in Torquay harbour side. There's an 85-foot Princess super yacht, one of the largest on the marina, which was moored on the at the end of the pontoons nearest to the pier. That caught fire, I'm told, about 15-20 minutes, half an hour ago. I'm not exactly sure, but there were explosions. Firemen at first came out along the marina. There's at least 5 fire engines at at the pavilion. Firemen at first went from along the marina, along the pontoons, and you can see maybe, I know it's not good from an iPhone, but they are playing their hoses, pumps are being sprayed water onto the yacht from this end, and now I can, just through the smoke, I can just about see that they're now also pouring water down from above. Firemen were seen running along the pier, and they're fighting it now from the pier, pouring water down onto the yacht. But the end of the pier is also on fire, although there's not a lot of wood there. It's mostly old ironwork metal. So behind that is the Torquay development, the new development, and that there you're looking at Rock Walk and the Princess Theatre, and there is the wheel, the Riviera wheel. I'm on the end of Holden Pier, which is the closest I can get safely to the fire. Try not to go too near the edge while I'm filming. I'm going to come back a little bit. So I don't know how much you can see on an iPhone. I've zoomed as much as I can, but that yacht has been on fire for a good 15 minutes to 30 minutes now. I've been down here about 15 minutes, so it's at least half an hour. The RNLI are now coming in from Brixham. This is Torquay lifeboat, just come over from Brixham to help. People were initially trapped on this end of the pier because they couldn't get back past the fire. They have now been taken off in small boats. They're all safely off. There's no danger to any people here. I don't know if there was anybody on the boat originally, but it has been a huge flames and smoke, which we're told, I don't know if you can see, but this black smoke has been belching out for half an hour, and people in Newton Abbot say they can see it. Obviously the whole of Torquay, Brixham can see it. This is as close as I can get. So just to recap, sorry to repeat myself if you've been on here, but for people who are just joining us, there's a large fire in Torquay harbourside on the marina, where an 85-foot Princess luxury yacht, one of the largest on the marina, caught fire on the end pontoon. Firemen at first ran with trolleys and pumps to the end of the pontoon, but the fire burnt through any ropes that were attaching it to the pontoon, and the yacht then drifted into the pier. The end of the pier, the first section of the pier before you get to the old stone pier, is also on fire. Firemen have been seen running along the pier, and they are now spraying their water hoses and pumps down onto the yacht from above, as well as they're trying to reach it from this side, but there's obviously a gap because the boat drifted away from its pontoon into the harbour, into the pier across the harbour. Probably from where the pontoon is, it's probably, I don't know, I can't guess, but probably about 50 feet. So now the lifeboat is also pumping water from the lifeboat onto it. So that's why the lifeboats come round. It wasn't to rescue people, it is now also pumping from the stern of the boat, and firemen on the pier are pumping water onto the bow. So flames continuously for about half an hour. Explosions were heard at first, people are telling me. There were other boats closer to it when it first caught fire, which apparently were quickly moved safely out of the way. So I don't think any other boats caught fire, as far as I'm aware at this stage. There are fire crews are all at the pavilion. At least 5 different fire engines are over there. So as you can see, this huge plume of smoke, it's not as big as it was when I first arrived. It's drifted on the wind, but it can be seen across the whole of Torquay. I'm going to walk to the end of the pier and see if we can see any more, but I think then the actual pier will stop us seeing, but there are still flames, which I think that will actually make it harder to see. I'm going to go back over here. This is as far as I can go. Sorry. So this is Colleen Smith for Devon Live down at Torquay harbourside, where a luxury yacht is on fire. Witnesses who were here at first told me they heard explosions. They told me that other yachts were quickly moved out of the way from the pontoon. They saw firemen at first running along from the marina office opposite the pavilion along the pontoons. This is one of the pleasure boats has come in. The RNLI Torquay lifeboat has arrived. They are now also pumping water onto the stern of the boat, and firemen on the pier are now pumping water onto the front of the boat, and firemen who are on the ends of the pontoon are trying to reach it, but it's a bit too far away. That was a bit ineffectual. They couldn't quite manage to reach it because as soon as the ropes tying the yacht onto the pontoon burnt through, it drifted away from them, so they weren't able to reach it very much. I mean, there is water reaching it, but they are probably a good 50 feet away from the actual fire. It's quite hard to get a sense of proportion, but the pontoons do not reach the pier. There's a manoeuvring room for the yachts to get in and out on that end of the pontoon. So here I am. That is the big modern building. There is the Tor Abbey building, Princess Theatre with the rock walk behind it, and the wheel and pavilion, and then round to the marina. People are crowded all around the harbour side in every direction, watching, taking photographs. Down there in Princess Gardens there are hundreds of people, but obviously they've got to keep out of the way. I'm keeping out of the way of the fire brigade while they fight this and try to save. That end of the pier is badly scorched. Now that the lifeboat is here, they're managing to stop the flames at this end, which is the back of the luxury yacht, and you can see how badly scorched, because some of the smoke is now lessened. I can actually see the badly scorched pier for the first time behind it. There have been a series of major fires on Princess Pier. The worst one was in end of the 70s, about 76 I think, I can't remember, when the big old Islander bar, which was a rather beautiful building at the end of the pier, they used to hold dances and there were shows, that burnt down completely. Then after that there have been smaller fires. There used to be along the pier, so it's been rebuilt several times. This smoke, we're told, you can see it as far away as Newton Abbot. And obviously I'll go over here so you can see where I am. This is Torquay on a beautiful sunny day. I'm on the end of Holden Pier, which is the old stone pier. So that is Berry Head in the distance. The lifeboat came over from Brixham, looking towards Paynton, the red cliffs there over Livermead. And now you can see the cloud of smoke which is drifting on the wind, but that's the Grand Hotel. The smoke goes across over there, blowing that way. And this is, I'm going to walk up here just to see a different view, but I think you can see less. I don't know if you can see, but there are still huge flames coming from the yacht. This boat, I don't know if it's pulled in because of the fire. So this is I'm just walking up to the end of Holden Pier just to see if you can see any more from here. So this is looking back, a different view. Over here. So right on the end of Holden Pier. There were at first people who were trapped at this end of the pier, this end of Princess Pier, opposite, not where I am. They couldn't get back because of the fire. They were taken off in small boats. Then the RNLI came from Brixham, and they are pumping water at the front of the yacht. The yacht came off its mooring on the end of the pontoon and drifted into the pier because obviously the ropes all burnt that were attaching it to the pontoon. So these people have all been safely rescued who were on here at this end because they couldn't get back past the smoke and flames, which are pretty huge still. I'm going to walk back again. So this big yacht has come in here, presumably because it can't get back over to the other side. I don't know, it might be moored here on Holden Pier, but they're not usually. There's quite a lot of small boats were moved. Okay, so just going back again, still just trying to walk backwards and film, so you might not be able to see very well at the moment, I'm sorry. So I'll just recap on what's happening. This is Torquay Marina, the outer harbour we used to call it, now it's called the Marina. Looking back across, that's the Princess Theatre, Princess Pier, still flames. I don't know if you can see the flames, I hope so. Not quite as big, it's slightly lessened because fire brigade are now, and the lifeboat are all pumping water from 3 different directions onto the yacht. Lifeboat is just beyond the end of the pier. Maybe I'll go a bit further so you can see. I don't know, I don't think we can because it's now tucked in. So the lifeboat is pumping from the stern of the yacht. Initially, when it was still attached to the pontoon, all the other boats around it were quickly moved and firemen ran along the pontoons with their trolleys with pumps and began fighting the fire from this end. There were explosions, but the boat as it burnt broke free and drifted into the pier. Then the pier also caught fire, so the end of the middle section of Princess Pier once again is on fire for about the 3rd time I can remember in recent years. Not in recent years actually, I'm quite old. I can remember the big fire in the 70s, at the end of the 70s, when the Islander, which was a beautiful ironwork building, burnt down. Used to be a place where people went for dances and it was a kind of mini nightclub called the Islander Bar on the end of the pier, and that was destroyed in the late 70s. Can't remember exactly when. So boats that have been waiting off are now coming in. There's another yacht coming in here now. There's like a little queue of yachts now coming in because they've been waiting safely out of the way. They're being directed by the harbour master. Being told where they can go away from the fire. So this black smoke has been pumping out for a good half an hour. I've lost track of time, 25 minutes. The boat on fire is an 85-foot Princess yacht, one of the biggest on the marina. This is the Dark Princess from Paignton now coming in, everybody pointing and taking photographs from the top of the pleasure boat. Still flames. This yacht, the front half, the bow of the yacht still seems to be intact. The back is completely burnt through. I suppose that's where the engine would be and where the explosions were heard. The biggest yachts on the marina are all kept on the end of that pontoon. And it was one of those that's on fire. I don't know the name of the yacht. The black smoke is now turned to grey. It's now not as a large tall plume as it was. At first it was thick and black and hundreds of feet high and could be seen as far away as Newton Abbot. I know I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry. This is for people who might have just seen it. Yeah, people are saying obviously they hope everyone is okay. We don't know if there was anybody on. There's no sign of any ambulances, so hopefully everybody's okay. Hopefully the firemen are okay. The RNLI from Brixham came over when I was filming. They are now pumping water onto the the stern. And the bow section is still intact, but the rear bow section is completely blackened, and because we now have less smoke, I can see the pier, which is very badly burnt in that middle section where the Islander once was. So the third time that section has been badly damaged. More boats coming in. I'm on Holden Pier, safely out of the way of the fire crews and the fire and the smoke. The smoke is blowing away from me over towards Paignton, out to sea really. It's not actually going inland, thank goodness, on this lovely sunny day. It's a beautiful day. At the start of the half-term holidays, Torquay is packed. There are hundreds and hundreds of people who've been watching all the way around the harbour side. I first stopped to take pictures up above the harbour on this side. There were people all the way around the harbour taking pictures and videos. The smoke has now turned from black to dark grey to paler grey to white, which I presume is steam. So that means that the firemen are managing to get the fire under control on the pier itself. So the pier itself also on fire, where the yacht broke free from its moorings in the fire and drifted into the pier. The bottom section of the pier is stone, but above that obviously there are the wooden planks, the walkway, boardwalk as the Americans say, and a lot of wrought iron work, old wrought iron seats and lights along there. So that end of the pier, there were people here just where the 5-knot marker is, where there's a yacht going out. People at first were stuck here and couldn't get back because of the fire on the other end of the pier, and they all had to be taken off safely by boat. So yeah, everybody from this end that I could see was okay, unless there was anybody actually on the yacht when it started. Hopefully everybody is okay, and hopefully the firemen are also okay. So I can still hear sirens. I'm not sure if that's more fire engines. There were, or are, I think, 5 fire engines parked at the pavilion, in the pavilion car park next to Weesup. The RNLI is here. They arrived just after I started filming. They're pumping water. They've now stopped pumping water on the stern of the boat, which is completely destroyed. It's just a blackened shell at that end. It's an 85-foot Princess motor yacht, one of the biggest on the marina. There are still flames. I don't know if you can see that, but there are still flames and smoke. Firemen at first came along the pontoons with trolleys and pumps and tried to fight the fire from this end, but the yacht then broke free of its mooring and drifted into the stone pier. Still quite big flames coming up. Firemen then weren't able to reach from this end, and firemen came along. I keep saying firemen, I'm so sorry. Firefighters, it's because they are firewomen as well. The firefighters have been fighting it from both ends. It's because you have to say fighting both times, sorry. The pier is, the marina is busy. It's a busy day, a sunny day at the start of the holidays. The pleasure boats are still coming and going, avoiding this area. So firefighters and RNLI have been fighting this from both directions. 5 fire engines, and I can still hear sirens, so I'm not sure what is now arriving. Obviously everybody's hoping that there are no injuries. But I'm still filming because it is still on fire. Although there isn't much more I can tell you. From here, I can't go over there and ask the firefighters about it at this stage. I can see the hoses are still pumping from onto the end of the pier. So this smoke at first was black, and the huge plume was hundreds of feet high, which colleagues in Newton Abbot said they could see. Colleagues in Paignton obviously could see it. Firemen came from Brixham. The lifeboat came from Brixham. So I'll stay here until the fire is out, unless my battery runs out. Although there's not much I can tell you that I haven't already said. Basically, an 85-foot luxury yacht caught fire. There were explosions. It drifted into the pier. The pier is now on fire. People were trapped at first at this end of the pier and were taken off by boats safely. We don't know if anybody was on the yacht when it caught fire. We don't know if anybody was injured. There were other small yachts moored around it on the pontoon. They were all moved out of the way. I can still see firefighters coming and going along that pontoon, and I can still see firefighters on the harbour. There is a fire engine which is driven along the prom. It's parked opposite the Princess Theatre, pulled it onto the pier. There are hundreds of people watching this around Torquay at the moment, and obviously hundreds of you watching it on Devon Live. So this is Colleen Smith reporting. I'm going to stay here until either the battery runs out or the fire is out. There are still huge flames. Half of the yacht now seems to, the back stern of the yacht has almost disappeared. The RNLI has stopped pumping onto that end. The fire brigade are pumping water and their hoses from the pier down onto the bow of the boat. I can see actually hoses now coming through the middle of the smoke. So firefighters are right in there in the middle of that thick plume of smoke, right above the flames. Yachts which were moored next to the yacht which caught fire were moved away, and then the yacht itself on fire drifted and stopped on the end of beside the stone pier. It's where it stayed and where the firefighting operation has continued now for at least half an hour. Flames still, I mean huge flames, 20, 30 feet high, are still, can still be seen. Really, because half of the boat is still, of the yacht is still intact. That is still on fire. I presume that the engine and the explosions were at the stern, and that's the bit that's burnt and first and is now just a sort of blackened shell. But the front half is still a white yacht, because it is 85 feet long, so there's a good 50 feet of it still, the hull is still intact, and there are flames of 10, 20, 30 feet along that whole 50-foot stretch of the deck, which I can see. People behind me are telling me that this boat was for auction not long ago. I don't know if it still was for auction. I'm told it's worth now my brain's gone. Was it 6 billion or 6 million? When it gets into massive figures, they kind of lose track. Surely it's 6 million. Yeah, must be, yeah. I'm told it's a £6 million, 85-foot Princess yacht. Half gone now. Well, a third gone, but obviously totally destroyed. But the front half is, and the hull are still intact, and there are 20, 30-foot huge flames still up as high as the pier. Firemen on either side now at the end of the pier, still pumping water and foam. There's white foam all the way down the side of the pier, trying to put it out. Firefighters, firemen and women, sorry. And the RNLI lifeboat also was pumping water initially. And there are just people in every direction, all along Princess Gardens, watching in disbelief at the fact that this fire has raged, literally raged, for about an hour. I can't even tell you what time it was when I came down, but I think I've been here for about 3/4 of an hour, and it was, I'm told it was a good 15 minutes before that it was on fire. Still, as you can see, this black smoke, hundreds of feet high, which could be seen from Newton Abbot. My colleagues in Newton Abbot could see it. So obviously huge interest in this, because the pier is also on fire. There were members of the public walking on a beautiful sunny day on this end of the pier who were trapped at first and who had to be taken off by small boats because they couldn't get back past the burning section of the pier in that central section. And as I've said before, there have been very serious fires before on Princess Pier, including when the Islander nightclub bar, which was a beautiful ornate Edwardian or Victorian structure, was burnt down in the 70s. Then another serious fire about 20 years ago. So now, once again, that middle section of Princess Pier is going to be out of action during the summer. I can see how badly charred it is. Firefighters have now got along to that end and are playing water, and hoses are being in both directions. But it's making little difference to the fire and the flames in the middle, which are 30, 40 feet high still. There's a huge raging fire in the middle, and then smaller fires the whole way along the deck, which is 85 feet long. It's incredible that it's been on, that they haven't been able to make much of a dent in that, but I suppose it's full of fuel. It's probably the fuel. I'm not an expert on these matters. The life of the harbour carrying on, as you can see around me. I'm on Holden Pier, the old Holden Pier, near what used to be the Living Coast, some at that end, keeping out of the way. And the flames are still just as intense in that bow section. It's incredible. Sorry, it says the camera's moving. I didn't come down here equipped with any kind of a I've just got my ordinary iPhone, and I'm getting quite chilly. I'm at the end of the pier, not dressed for. There's a little bit of a wind behind me. My arm's getting a bit sore because I've been holding it for over half an hour. So my apologies. Just trying to show people what's actually happening down here, because obviously hundreds of people are here, but other hundreds and hundreds of people have been watching this and can't get here. So I am in Torquay on Holden Pier filming the fire of an 85-foot Princess yacht, one of the biggest on the marina, which has drifted into the pier. The pier has also been on fire. I think firefighters have got that under control. I'm not holding it very steady because I'm trying to see beyond what I'm filming. So the front section, bow section, is still intact. What once was a £6 million yacht, 85-foot yacht, half of it, or a good third or more, the back end is just a charred, blackened hull down to the water level. So I'm surprised it hasn't actually sunk, but the other section, there are still flames which are 20 or 30 foot high, this fire has been raging intensely for nearly an hour, as far as I can tell. I wasn't here at first. At first it was smaller and there were small explosions, small amount of smoke. And then after the explosions it drifted into the pier. There was a huge, hundreds of foot high, thick black plume of smoke which could be seen in Newton Abbot. My colleagues over there were telling me. Now we have a smaller plume of smoke. It's still probably a good 100 feet high. We've got 5 fire engines on Pavilion car park. I'm over on Holden Pier. The flames are still just as high as ever. The RNLI Torquay lifeboat came round and was at first helping with the firefighting operation from the sea. Firefighters initially tried to fight it from the pontoon, but then the boat broke free of its moorings and floated into the pier. So then firefighters were seen running along the pier, where they still are, and they're trying to stop the fire spreading along the pier. There's water and foam being sprayed constantly from above now, and was coming from the pontoons and from the lifeboat. The life of the harbour is just carrying on around me, but obviously people are staying away. There were boats next to the boat when it first caught fire that were moved quickly. Then the yacht itself drifted away from the pontoon. So for anybody who's just joined, sorry to repeat myself, but for those who've just joined, an 85-foot, £6 million Princess yacht, one of the most expensive in Torquay Marina, caught fire probably about an hour ago now on the end pontoon. Then it drifted free and it drifted into the pier, which also caught fire. People were trapped at first on this end of the pier that you can see, where the 5-knot max and the red port light is. Those people were safely rescued. I don't know if anybody was injured or was on the yacht when it caught fire. Firemen at first tried to fight the fire. Firefighters tried to fight the fire. I can't say that, it's like a tongue twister, sorry. From the pontoons, but the yacht drifted away from them, and then they ran along the pier and are now fighting the blaze with flames that I can still see a good 20, 30 feet high. The back of the yacht is now a blackened hull down to the water level, covered in white foam, but is still on fire, presumably because of fuel. I'm not an expert, so forgive my lack of knowledge. The flames are now not solid black, there's now grey ones, and there was white steam for a while when the firefighters were dealing with the pier itself. That was a lot of white steam coming off there as they played their hoses along the wooden boardwalk. So there's another of the many pleasure cruises, pleasure boats is now coming in, the Dark Venturer. So the harbour is carrying on. Obviously people couldn't not come in, and they're quite safe here. So this is the Dark Venturer coming in right next to me, which might actually mean that I can't film here anymore. I don't know where he's going to moor. Looks like he's actually going to moor right here. Being careful not to trip over their mooring ropes. So the modern building you can see is the Torquay Sands building beyond the pier. That is Princess Theatre, where fire engines have parked in Abbey Gardens. They're also parked over in the pavilion. The flames are as intense as ever. So I'm staying here, and I know I'm repeating myself, and I might have to move because this the Dark Princess is just pulling up alongside me here. I'm trying not to get too close to the edge so I don't fall over while I'm filming, which I'm sure people would think was funny, but I don't think I would. Yeah, so it is sad, and a £6 million yacht has gone up. I don't know if you can hear me because the engine of the Dark, is she called the Dark Princess or the Dark Venturer? But if I move this way you can't see the fire, so I'm not really sure where to stand. So I'm on Holden Pier, which is fine. It's a stone pier, but the Princess Pier opposite the Princess Theatre is on fire for at least the third time in my lifetime that I know of. Firefighters seem to have contained it to just the section where the boat is, where the yacht basically drifted from its pontoon when its moorings burnt, and it drifted onto the pier itself. And all these people are now getting off. Yeah, that's where I was stood just now, so I've had to move. I think it's the Dark Venturer here. Lots of activity in the harbour. It's a beautiful day for those of you who haven't been able to get out and about. There is a bit of a chill wind on the end of this pier. I'm sorry I'm moving around a lot, but I'm trying to get you a view and I don't really know how to. Fire is just at the end of the first section of Princess Pier. Firefighters now appear to be in a small boat right alongside. There are still flames, although not quite so high, and the plume of smoke is not as high. It was hundreds of feet high and was black and could be seen over in as far away as Newton Abbot, at least, I'm told of. Fishing boats now going out. The Mary Ann from Brixham. I'm going to walk past this one. I could try climbing onto the wall, but it's hard with a camera in your hand. So from here, once again, I can see flames. So I'm now filming from the very end. I don't want to get too close because I don't want to trip over ropes here. Here is one of the Brixham fishing boats. Somebody just cast off and nearly took my ear off. Yeah. I am not able to see flames from here. That doesn't mean there aren't any. It just means that they're probably not as high anymore. But I couldn't stay where I was because one of the pleasure boats came alongside Holden Pier. There's no smell from here, but that might be because all of the smoke is blowing away from me. Luckily, sort of blowing out to sea hasn't blown into the harbour, which is packed today, first day of the holidays, half-term holidays for the Jubilee. So a bit of a sad sight here, obviously. A 6 million yacht's gone up in flames. Hopefully nobody injured. People were trapped on this end here of the pier, had to be taken off by boat. And Princess Pier I can now see, because the smoke is finally seeming to clear a bit, I can see the damage for the first time to the end of the pier. When I say the end, it's the end of that first section before you get to this stone section. The end with the wooden boardwalk, that end of Princess Pier is very badly damaged, which means this end will probably be shut for months again, which with the summer holidays coming up is obviously also sad. Fishermen use this end, boats use this end. The harbour's really busy. So as you can see, lots of small boats. I am on Holden Pier, which is also busy. Lots of people out here watching. The main crowds at first were in Princess Gardens. Fire engines were parked in the pavilion. It did look, when I first saw and heard the smoke, as if it was the pavilion that was on fire, but it wasn't. We quickly found out there was a boat on fire. I've been down here for a good 45 minutes now. I can still see flames. I've just seen through the smoke. Good 10, 15 foot high flames coming from this yacht, which is a £6 million, 85 foot Princess yacht. The biggest, or one of the biggest, probably the biggest. The biggest ones on the marina are usually parked along the end pontoon where this one was. Jim Davidson used to keep his flashy yacht champers right there for years. I don't know. That was there for many, many, many years. So as you can see, that is the Princess Theatre, that is Rock Walk, that is the pavilion where the firemen are. There are firefighters there are more fire engines on the end of the pier next to the theatre. So this smoke plume was black and hundreds of feet high, was visible from as far away as Newton Abbot and obviously all around Torquay. Here I am in Torquay at the end of Holden Pier on a fabulous day. Fabulous end of May day, although there is a bit of a wind up back here. The smoke luckily blowing away from the harbour out to sea, drifting slightly towards Paynton, but not obviously reaching that far. It's kind of dissipating as it goes along. People are saying how sad it is. It is sad. It's very sad. There's a lot. Hopefully nobody was injured. There were people who were trapped on this section of the pier that you can see. This end stone section, much loved by the fishermen. They couldn't get back past the smoke and flames. They were taken off safely on small boats. As far as I'm aware, nobody was hurt. They were able to get out of the way. There was lots of room for them to keep safely away from the fire, and there was no danger of this stone section catching fire. But there is a lot of damage that I can see to the old wrought iron metalwork and wooden boardwalk section at the end of Princess Pier, which has had 3. I think this is the 3rd major fire that I'm aware of. Those of you who are old like me might remember the Islander Bar in the 70s, which was a fabulous big old Edwardian or Victorian building, which was a beautiful bar and ballroom and nightclub, and that was destroyed, completely destroyed, and on that large end section in the late 70s. I can't remember, I think it's 76 or 77, but it could have been 79. I'm sure other people will know. I've seen the pictures many times. But like this, people all around Torquay were filming because like this, there was the smoke coming up in hundreds of feet up above the bay. So I can still see flames. I said I'd stay here till the flames were out. I really didn't think it would be still on fire after so long. I'm going to go back now this way, and I'm sorry about all the movement. I'll film where I'm going so I don't fall over. I was standing up here, but then one of the big Dartmouth pleasure boats came over full of people, and they were unloading, so it was a bit noisy, and but from up here I was able to have a better view of the flames. I'm going to go back here now. to tell you what's going on. People watching in disbelief. So when I get back here, I can see around the end of the pier again and across the top of the Dark Venturer pleasure boat. Yeah, still, so that bow section is still intact. The rear section is just a blackened shell down to water level. Probably the back 25-30 feet has gone, which I presume was where the engines were and fuel. There were explosions heard at first. She was initially alongside the pontoons, and then she drifted when her ropes burnt. She drifted quickly into the pier, and then the pier caught fire and people were trapped at the end of the pier. The RNLI Torquay lifeboat, I don't know if you can quite see, is just tucked in there on this side of the pier. She came, she was helping, the lifeboat men were helping with pumping water from the sea. Initially, firefighters tried to fight it from the pontoon until she drifted away, and then firefighters ran along the pier, and for a good half an hour, 45 minutes, they were trying to save the pier, and also they were trying to save this boat, which is still well alight, with flames a good 10 feet high. Presumably that's because of fuel, but I would have thought that's burnt out by now. I don't know. But the front bow section is still whole. She's not sinking. She's 85 feet long, and I'd say there's a fire that's about 60 feet long along the deck, at deck level, or where the deck was, is still, there are still flames, but not as high, not as thick black acrid smoke. Sorry, because I can't see it so well when I look at the screen. I'm looking at over the top of the screen, so that's why I'm drifting a bit. But I don't know if you can see it, but I can clearly see flames. There's still 600 odd people watching this, so I don't want to stop because I'm presuming that those people have just joined, so I'm going to stay here until my battery runs out or until the fire is out. Although I don't have much more to say. So yeah, very sad day for the pier, apart from the owners of this £6 million, 85-foot Princess super yacht. I don't know if it's officially a super yacht. I don't really know what the definition of a super yacht is. It's one of the biggest and most beautiful yachts on the marina. The biggest yachts are all moored on the end of the pontoon where she was, and she then quickly drifted, went into the pier, which then caught fire. People were on this end of the pier, were trapped, couldn't get back past the smoke and fire, and they then were taken off by small boats. Then the lifeboat came in and joined in. I think there's a small boat now pumping water, but I can't tell. It might be water coming from the end of the pontoon. There were lots of firemen, firefighters, firewomen on the end of the pontoon as well as on the pier itself. It looks as if the RNLI are leaving. They've certainly no longer moored on the pier itself. They're just behind this section of the pier. I don't know if you can see it. Yep. So the smoke has gone from hundreds of feet high to about 30-40 feet high now, and it's gone from black to paler grey, but the yacht itself is still well alight. The remaining sort of 60 foot of the deck that has nearly out. I'm going to wind up now. Oh golly, as I said that, there were more large flames suddenly licked up against the pier. So this has been Colleen Smith reporting for Devon Live.